have lots of room right now, but we still haven't gotten the Jalen contract and other potential contracts. So does Howie want to try to sign this up and then, limit the resources? I don't know. I'm not saying it's impossible. I think, Thomas, you probably agree with it too. It's not impossible to get a trade, but for one, you have to have the Titans willing to do it. And they already made a crazy trade to give us A.J. Brown. I doubt that you're going to get a second year in a row of some type of trade like that. But also, then it becomes, I think that Jalen Hurts' contract would have to be done first, because that's the main priority before Jeffrey Simmons, before anybody else. Get Jalen's deal done, and then you figure out what cap space you have in the following years. Then, you know what? Hey, if it makes sense, and the Titans have lost their mind and they're willing to do it again, sure, yeah, you know what? Go after a guy like that, because I agree with some of the comments and arguments that I've seen in the shows this week that I've done of Jeffrey Simmons is a known commodity. You know exactly what he brings. There's no risk involved. So if you could trade a first-round pick and get a guy like that, yeah, I'd be all for it. But again, it always comes back to what's the cap hit for the extended years, not for just year one, because Howie very rarely signs players, at least on bigger deals, where he's going to have to for sure re-sign to a one-year contract. Now, you'll do it for the veterans, as we've seen. We've done it for a lot of players that are injured, have some potential, a prove it type of year, but not for guys who for a fact are going to get massive deals the very following year. We lost out on Javon Hargrave, but I don't think Howie wants to keep having that happen of, hey, you got a one-year deal. All of a sudden, okay, well, great. Now we can't sign this guy back. So he's thinking long-term, and he's mentioned it quite a bit. He's always looking long-term, looking for backup plans for options and everything else. So I think Jalen Hurts deal has to get done first before you see anything there. But then maybe, who knows? It's wouldn't put it past Howie. He does a lot of trading, as we know. Maybe during the draft.
I'd be shocked. Ohana Means Family makes a great point. The Titans' new GM isn't calling up Howie. He learned from their last GM getting fired for trading away A.J. Brown to us. Yeah, seriously, that's the whole thing. There's just no way that you would ever trade any of their star players back to a team where your fan base thinks that you fleeced them already. It's like, imagine how Titan fans felt, and I'm not a Titan fan, nor do I know anyone who is, just based on being an Eagle fan, but I think the Titan community was crazy in terms of whenever they lost A.J. Brown. I think it was absolutely nuts. Speaking of the Jalen Hurts contract situation, I still surprised. I know that they all said the right things at the NFL annual meetings. Sirianni talked about it. It's going to happen. Howie Roseman talked about it. It's going to happen. Obviously, Jeffrey Lurie talked about it's going to happen. So it's going to happen, but when's it going to happen? And I think the theory I said on my show, and I think most people have said this, not anything special, is Herbert and Burrow and Hurts, and now Dak too. They're trying to get Dak done early, are all trying to get paid the most. They're all trying to wait for the other to go. That way they can get more. And Jalen Hurts has the upper hand in a sense that he can basically sit back and go, hey, look what Justin Herbert got. Has Justin Herbert been to a Super Bowl yet? No, he hasn't. So I'll take more than Justin Herbert. And if Herbert gets $50 million a year, which is, it could, 47, then, the Eagles are going to be ponying up a lot more money. And so I think Philly desperately has probably offered him a number. And Jalen Hurts' agent, and I think it's Nicole Lynn, right? I think she is handling this the way that I would if it was my client. I'd say, wait. We're in no rush. They're obviously going to extend you. Let's see who the first domino is to fall. And it's all of them playing a giant game of chicken, not wanting to accept it, not wanting to accept the very first offer.
And that's the right play. Again, if you're in negotiation, sure, wait, see what the market holds. What can you get if there's a massive deal? Obviously, yeah, your value goes through the roof there. You mentioned, guys like Herbert and some of the other contracts that they're waiting to get done. But yeah, you hear all these rumors, all these speculation. I think the most recent article from I think Matt Lombardi had posted kind of what are the expectations or rumors that he's hearing about the numbers. And I saw one that was saying like around 45 million, another one that was saying around 42 or 43 million. I don't expect that. I think that's way too low, but they're saying like, Mahomes is 45, but he did it on a 10-year deal, obviously.
Yeah, so it was a long deal.
If you maybe, do you look at locking Jalen up for 10 years? Possibly that could make sense and work, but I don't know. I feel like it'd be more likely that Howie's going to go in there and do maybe a 5-year deal, possibly 6. But then in that case, yeah, you're saying, well, I'm probably going to get paid more per year at that point. So to me, I'm thinking if it's anything less than like a 48 million a year, that's a steal. Otherwise, I could very easily see him still getting a 48, 49, 50 million per year. And it's crazy to say those numbers, but the salary cap is increasing. the market just kind of continues to be reset. And if Jalen wants to go and then argue, he could say, well, Aaron Rodgers is getting these numbers. And I know that, you could say Aaron Rodgers was great, but we saw a big dip in him this year. So, he has all the firepower he needs to really go and negotiate. So it's not surprising it's taken a little bit longer maybe than what the team would have thought. But, we'll see. Maybe Jalen wants to give a little team friendly discount, take a little bit off. He's still going to get paid astronomically high, but maybe he does. Maybe he wants to take a little discount.
The way the bonus money works out, is there an extra year? Is it 5? Is it 6? That will all play into how much it turns out to be in the end. I mean, guaranteed money. I mean, that's a big problem right now. We talk about that with Lamar Jackson. That's a huge issue for NFL owners. They are scared to death of that, as they should be. And it's a lot of things going on. All right, first entry, Sydney family getting 2 more entries in. I know I've seen Sydney family get some entries in for the jersey giveaway. Good morning. Any thoughts on Carl Brooks in the second? For those of you who don't know, Sydney family is in Australia, so it is morning for them. Carl Brooks is the pass rusher from Bowling Green, I think.
Yep.
Not a first-round draft pick, but I maybe second. That's the problem with, and I'll admit my own flaws when it comes to the draft. I focus in on the first round. I focus on the first round because the first round is what you guys want to know about. Who's going at 10, who's going at 30. Very rarely do non-draft experts, and I'm not a draft expert, actually look at these later round guys. I don't know enough about him. But if Philadelphia comes out with a pass rusher in round 2, I think a lot of us expect it to be a starter caliber player. And maybe if they don't get a pass rusher at 10, they don't get a pass rusher at 30, they get one in the second round. There's a very real possibility Philly could go O-line, and then they could go corner, and then they could go second round with a pass rusher. Very real possibility. It could totally happen. I don't know enough about him.
I could definitely see that. I've seen him a couple times just because I usually do a mock draft like once every day. So, I mean, just from the small write-up that I've seen there, I've started taking a look like once or twice a week at maybe a sleeper pick. So I did JL Skinner a couple of shows ago, if you didn't catch that. But for Carl Brooks, I mean, he's a big, sturdy defensive line. He's 6'4", 300 pounds. So, you've got the strength, you've got the size. I know from just the write-up here that I pulled up real quickly, they're saying his improvement area could be some lower body strength. So he does have the strength to kind of hold up and stop the spot. But as far as like a pass rush and getting through maybe double teams or other offensive linemen, there's a question mark there. So, but he seems to be available again. And this is just the mock draft, so probably not going to be completely accurate for what actually happens on draft night. But he seems to be available late second round, even into like the middle of the third round. He's someone that, if you haven't selected a guy by that point, I mean, his size alone makes you, think maybe that's a possibility, a 6'4", 300. But I feel like if you're going to go defensive lineman, especially with the picks and the way they line up this year, maybe go for it with one of the first round picks. I mean, it would surprise me if Howie didn't do that, because that's where he goes, as we mentioned multiple times, wants to win in the trenches. So you don't really need offensive line, but D line would be great. So either at 10 or 30, I think you have to select it there, and then probably not a Carl Brooks at that point.
I think once you get past pick 40, everyone's draft board changes, and it turns into who they think is better than the other person. Like the first 35, 32, 40 picks, whatever the number is, people basically have it as the same, right? Now they have differences. Do you put Bijan at 10? Do you put him at 20? Do you put Jalen Carter at 5? Do you put him at 15? Like they're considered first round draft picks, right? Everyone has the same first round draft picks basically in there, except for a couple of people. Once you get out of that, it's anyone's guess. And so is Carl Brooks a late first rounder on someone's board or an early third rounder on someone's board? That'll be the question that'll be answered on night 1 of the draft. And that's where you see a ton of draft trades happen. Night 1 or the first couple hours or first couple picks of day 2, because people are like, oh my gosh, this person is still there. That's got to be a big thing. That's got to be an absolutely massive thing if he's actually still available. So we will see on that overall. Okay, quickly, Andrea Ford is entered. Andrea entering into the giveaway. I know she already has. Andrea, good evening to you. 10 entries into our first-round draft pick jersey giveaway. Hey, guys, Super Bowl fund. Oh, that's right.
There we go. We started that last week. So
we did. Yeah, the Super Bowl fund. You guys do not need to fund us to get the Super Bowl. It is way too expensive. But if Josh and I both said if they go this year, then we'll
We're gonna figure out a way. I'm
mortgage our
just telling
houses
you.
and try
We're
and find a
gonna
way and,
Yep,
do it that way. So,
double mortgage, reverse
Trey,
mortgage, whatever we need to.
too funny. We appreciate it, Trey. Way too funny. I
Hey,
appreciate it.
do you have your Twitter pulled up?
I
Because I was
saw
gonna
that.
see if you
Yeah.
could screen share. Yeah, just to because we're
Oh, I
going
don't
back
have it
to.
pulled up on my big one. No, no, no. I don't have it
Okay, okay.
on this one. Yeah.
I was gonna say there's a graphic there. It'd probably be cool to see, but it just basically breaks down Howie and what he's done in past drafts. So DeBur's blog is the one who kind of tracked this and pulled this data. But I think it's always fascinating to see again Howie never ceases to amaze us, and so he could surprise or go off what his traditional stance is. But in the graphic that he had pulled up, that 24% of the time since 2016, 24% of the time he's drafted defensive line. And it also breaks it down by day. So it's, what's his day one pick, 2, 3, so on and so forth. But for day one, that's the number one pick. If you look back since 2016, it's defensive line. The second most in day one is actually wide receiver, believe it or not. So and then it's offensive line and quarterback are tied with one apiece. But it was just interesting to look at that. And that's where I go back to the whole Carl Brooks idea of how he values one of the trenches positions. Like if he's going to take his pick in the first round, it's probably going to be defensive line or it's probably going to be offensive line. But what is the need of this team? And for a long time, we've seen, obviously, this has been one of the best offensive lines of football, still is, will be. So where do you need to solidify the defensive line? And you have a 10th pick, you have a 30th pick. So that's where I would say I would be shocked if you don't take one of those at the defensive line, knowing how he does and what he likes to do every single year of value that position.
I totally agree. 100%. I totally agree. Joe Magoon. Philadelphia Eagles might end up like the Denver Broncos or Baltimore Ravens with this lagging signing Jalen Hurts. What does that mean? Lagging signing? Joe, let us know what you mean. As in, like, paying him too much?
I'm assuming just maybe waiting to get a deal done. Like,
lag is in, like, waiting to get, yeah.
Yeah, like, I don't think we're in that situation.
They're trying to get a deal done, and they will get a deal done. Okay, do you really think
and Jalen's not as crazy as Lamar? Like, let's get that straight, too.
And by crazy, you mean then the money that Lamar Jackson wants and by not having an agent.
Yeah. We just start out with, guess what? Jalen has an agent. Like that's probably the first, the most important thing. But yes, the money that he wants, the fact that it's guaranteed money, like Jalen knows he's going to get great money, but I don't think Jalen's going in there and, he's got an agent for a reason, but he's probably not even super involved in these contract negotiations till it gets very close. And his agent says, hey, we're at, whatever number. He's probably just saying like, hey, Nicole, take care of it. Let me know whenever we're starting to reach the number we're targeting. Otherwise, I want to be out of it because, we know he's a maniac and he's just working out at the facility anyway, like Nick Sirianni said this week. So I don't think that there's any concern. Yes, it's going to take a little bit of time because these negotiations always do. And I can't imagine that Howie's had too much time with all that's transpired in free agency to be completely focused on that because it is a priority and he's made it known. So I haven't seen any reports. I haven't seen or heard anything that suggests, oh, maybe there's a breakdown in communications. There's not a deal that's going to be signed. There's not an extension. I don't think there's any concern or reason to worry at this point. But I don't know where you're coming from with the whole lagging or, it's night and day difference, I guess, from this situation to what you're seeing with Baltimore. That's what I'm thinking.
And Lamar Jackson has officially requested a trade as well. So
there you go.
There's that. Wasn't it Nick Sirianni that said Jalen Hurts has been in the NovaCare complex working out like every single day this offseason?
Yeah.
I don't think Lamar has been inside the Ravens place right now.
Probably not.
We got super chats. I'm going to go to them in 1 second. One thought on Lamar. It's very simple, right? Listen, Lamar Jackson wants guaranteed money. And Lamar Jackson sees himself as a crusader for future quarterbacks and future players getting guaranteed money. And if you're an NFL player, you want a guaranteed contract. You want fully guaranteed. That way, you don't lose out on any money. When you get hurt and blow out your knee, and you can't play the final couple of games of final couple of years of your career. That's what he's like crusading for. And it's a very fair thing. But we've seen what happens with guaranteed contracts everywhere. Think about the guaranteed contracts in the MLB. Who's that famous guy that makes like $3 million a year in baseball and he has for the past 30 years because they gave him some guaranteed contract that pays him?
Deal, yep.
Yeah. Like, I mean, it's different in the fact that he wanted it, paid out longer term. So he took less up front. But these guys want guaranteed money right up front. But the owners say no, because if you sink $400 million into a quarterback who plays 2 out of the 7 years that you signed him to, you're going to be in franchise hell for your entire lifetime. So I get what Lamar's trying to do. I respect what Lamar's trying to do. I would want the same, but I think that the Watson precedent by the Cleveland Browns being idiots kind of ruined everything.
Yeah.
Like kind of
They ruined
ruined
it for sure.
everything. So,
Yep.
and Lamar will sign with somebody. Come on, obviously he's going to sign with somebody. I think Atlanta should trade for him. I live in Atlanta. I used to cover the Atlanta Falcons for their flagship radio station, doing their caller post game show. They need some life, and Lamar would give them life. But Arthur Blank said just the other day, the owner of the Falcons, that they're going to go with Desmond Ridder, and they have injury concerns for Lamar Jackson, which any Lamar Jackson apologist always seems to forget the fact that he hasn't finished the past 2 seasons because he was injured. And that's a serious concern. It's a concern. If Jalen Hurts gets hurt next year and then got hurt the year after that, we would all be saying the exact same thing. Okay? All be saying the exact same thing.